Yo, my people, welcome back to the Venture Room, the #1 platform for aspiring entrepreneurs. And today we've got an SMMA founder that's taken the game by storm. She seems to have cracked the code on how to grow brands and blow up social media. And I want to find out how she does it. But first, I'll let her introduce herself. How you doing?
Hi, thank you for having me. So yes, I'm Abby. I own Eventus Agency and also Eventus Mentorship. So there's quite a lot going on. But
It's so hard because I was trying to think about the intro. You do so many things. I was like, how do I get it into one sentence?
I think with social media, there's so many different umbrellas and there's so many different routes that you can go down. And I think to really keep up to date with social media, you have to also introduce so many new services and ventures. And yeah, it's exciting though.
So if you can summarize all the different things that you do, what are they? So I know you've got the SMMA agency. What else?
Yeah, so Eventus Agency is a social media marketing agency. Now that specializes in social media management, content creation, paid advertising, and also personal branding. Then we also have the mentorship side, which is Eventus Mentorship, and that specializes in one-to-one mentorship with myself and the team.
Okay.
And then we've also got the new Era Accelerator, which is underway, which is basically an online platform / program, so it teaches online coaches, service-based business owners, brands, creators, basically to monetize their social media themselves and also grow their personal brand.
All right, we're going to try and get into some of that later on.
Yeah.
I feel like you do so much. How do you balance your time? Because I saw, did you go away to, was it Mexico recently?
Yeah, so I haven't actually been away for 4 years. And then I went to Mexico for 2 weeks. And then I went to Florida about 2 weeks after for 2 weeks as well. But I worked while I was away on both of them.
Okay.
It was just working around them time zones, but obviously I've got the team as well, so it's not just me. I obviously make it happen with the team as well.
Because I just checked your story and I thought she travelled twice already in this year, and I was thinking you travel all the time.
No, not at all. I literally did not leave the country for 4 years. Like my full focus was business. And when it came to going to Mexico, I was petrified to go away. Yeah, because I thought I'm leaving the business, I'm going to come back to nothing. And honestly, I came back and I was refreshed, even though I worked while I was there. I was so much more switched on and on the game because you have a fresh mind. And I think when you stay in one place, you
need to recharge, innit? You can't just go flat out all the time. You burn out.
Yeah, 100%. And you can argue that you're not burnt out like I always used to.
Yeah.
But I was definitely burnt out because I felt like a different person when I came back.
How was Mexico? You like it?
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
It's on my list actually, top
Have you not been?
No.
Honestly, like I used to go when I was younger and then going back, it's just the food's amazing, the weather. I'd like to be there now.
I need a holiday, yeah. Like this summertime is awful. Raining, like...
It's like it can't decide what it wants. And I'm going to Marbella on next Friday as well, just for the weekend. So
yeah, so you're a traveller.
Now I am, but after Marbella, I am done and I am in for the next Oh,
I love it, man. Yeah. So what is SMMA? Let's start from the beginning. What does it mean? What is it?
Yeah, so SMMA is short for Social Media Marketing Agency. So you'll probably see quite a lot of them popping up on social media. Now, there are so many different avenues that you can go down, but it's essentially managing, say, a brand, a company, managing their social media platforms, bringing them in leads, creating their content for them. There's loads of different aspects when it comes to social media.
Okay, and then does that include like paid as well? Or is it literally just managing someone's account?
Yeah, so it does also include paid. Some of them will be called digital marketing agencies when they include paid. Okay. So like when I first started, that wasn't a service I offered, but then I branched out into it. So arguably we're a digital marketing agency, but we still really call ourselves a social media marketing agency.
Because you could apply that to any kind of business, isn't it? I saw it's a bit of an interesting one, but there's a guy that does like an OnlyFans management agency where he basically does SMMA, but for like OnlyFans models.
Yeah, I've got quite a few friends in that space and they are killing it.
They're killing it, isn't it?
Honestly, the money that you can make, because it's all performance-based as well. You can charge retainers, but then retainers are really high. Like you can make, if you're an OnlyFans social media marketing agency, you can easily hit 6 figures within about a week.
Because the guy that I know, he gets 50% commission on whatever they make. So it's literally partners half and half. I'm not sure how they promote it, but they seem to be making money.
Sometimes I think maybe I should just quit what I'm doing and I'm off.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, isn't it? It's mad.
Yeah, there's a lot of money.
So some people say, I'm going to go straight in for it, SMMA is dead, it's saturated. Obviously, it probably blew up about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
People are saying it's dead now. Is that true?
Well, I think there's dead and there's saturated. So if you think about it, in the UK, on average, there are 2,000 businesses that open every single day. You could literally argue that any business is saturated.
True.
Yes, there are lots of social media marketing agencies, but we've literally just discussed there that OnlyFans, how many people are on OnlyFans? How many people need social media marketing?
Yeah.
They're growing their personal brand. They need their accounts managing so they can just focus on content. It cannot be saturated because there's so much demand for social media marketers, whether it's agencies, freelancers, there's so much money to be made.
And I do feel like social media is still growing. Like now your grandparents are on TikTok. Like more and more people are adopting social media. It's now the norm. That's
the thing. I think you can literally look at, not only that, social media is global. So say if you were to say, right, okay, I want to dominate this niche in my local area. Yeah, okay, that might be saturated. But let's say you want to dominate Dubai. I've got clients in Dubai, America, Australia. Like, I don't need to stick to the UK as long as you can adjust to time zones.
Yeah. And it depends on what niches you're attacking as well.
Definitely.
All right, so before we dive into the business, what was life like before you started the agency? I know you're from, I should know by your accent, Liverpool, innit?
So I'm not actually from Liverpool. I'm from the Wirral, so I'm a wool.
The where?
The Wirral. I'm a plastic scouser. Yeah.
What is that in Liverpool? Yeah.
So you've got like Liverpool and then there's like a tunnel. I'm over the other side. But if I was in Liverpool and I said I was a scouser, they wouldn't be happy about it. They'd say, you're just a wool. Get out my town. So I'm a wool.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Croydon, innit? People say that's not London.
Yeah.
So I get the same kind of thing.
Yeah. It's basically that. Yeah. It's exactly what it is.
So what was like the motivation for you starting? Like what was your first jobs and what was life like before?
Yeah, so I turned 25 on Monday. So I literally have never worked a full-time job. I've only ever, I went to school, college, then I went to uni. I studied law in uni. And while I was studying law, that's when I set up Gym Law, my activewear brand.
Oh, that was your first business?
No, my first business when I was 14, Spice Couture.
Okay.
And I sold that when I was 16.
All right. So what was that business?
So Spice Couture was a dropshipping company, but so now it's dropshipping. Back then, I didn't really have a description for what I was doing. I wasn't really sure.
Yeah.
So I used to basically buy in dresses from China and eBay as well. I'd order these dresses in from China, I'd model them, and I'd attend these like local free photo shoots with photographers that were building up their portfolio. So I'd model my clothing for free. I'd then get the pictures and then I'd obviously advertise them online on the website.
Oh, okay.
So once I'd got the product from China, I'd then either drop ship it from China or just buy it in from eBay and say like Manchester, because you could still get the same product from there.
And what, you were like 14, 15?
14.
Oh my
14,
God.
Yeah.
But where do you think that entrepreneurial spirit came from?
Do you know what? I've forgotten, none of my family are entrepreneurial. There's no one in my family is in business. I was in school and I was having like a really bad time. So I ended up getting bullied by like a gang of girls. I just and I didn't want to go to school like at all. But I knew that I wanted to achieve big things. I wanted to go to uni to study law because they instill in you that you need to be a lawyer, a doctor, a dentist to make a lot of money. But I thought, I'm not going to get my GCSEs at this rate. So I need to do something else.
Well, you're not like doing well academically.
I think in my head, I just didn't believe I was going to if I wasn't in certain classes, if I wasn't in the right headspace. So I naturally put myself into like hunger mode where I thought, well, if I'm not going to get there, I need to get there a different way. And I just kind of figured it out. Like,
That's mad. Because not many 14-year-olds are starting dropshipping businesses. Like,
yeah, do you know what? So it was literally yesterday, I parked at my mum's house and next door is a little boy called Joe. He's only 14 and he came around and he was like, Abby, I want to talk to you about dropshipping. And I was like, go on, speak to me. And he was like, I don't really know how to do it. I'm dyslexic and I really want to figure out how I can do it.
Yeah.
So I spoke to him and he went, how do I get around it? Like, how do I type things and not spell things wrong?
Yeah.
I was like, AI. So you literally can do anything now.
Literally.
I know.
AI is, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. So at what point, so you went to college, you studied law at uni.
Yeah.
And then you left uni. What happened after then?
So while I was in uni, I think it was coming to the end of year 2 or like midway through year 2.
Yeah.
Because you finish in the May and it was the October that I launched Gym Law. So I was in the gym in like the September with my dad and I've literally been in the gym my entire life. Dad was a bodybuilder. Like,
is it?
Yeah, that's just what he was. So I was always there. And I was like, Dad, law's great. It's not. It's boring as hell. I'm sat here and I'm like, this is not what I want to do with my life. My lecturer, I was thinking, you've got the same degree I've got. I do not want to be in your shoes right now.
Yeah.
So I went to the gym that night and I said to my dad, I was like, I want to set up something to do with clothing. And potentially in the gym wear space, because all I used to wear was activewear, and obviously activewear is expensive.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm going to save money if I go into activewear, and then that's when we come up with gym law, literally because I was doing law.
That's a sick name as well.
I know. So,
and you're still running it now, right?
Yeah, so it's actually in fulfillment now. So the brand kind of ticks over.
Okay.
So that brand actually grew to 750 global ambassadors within about 6-7 months.
Woo-hoo. So that was your first thing after university,
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
It's mad because when you're younger, they kind of tell you this is the path. You know, you study law, you graduate, and life's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But when I look at people that did that path, they're not happy.
No.
They're not living a life they wanted to live.
Honestly.
And you feel like you've been sold a dream almost.
Because you are. So I set that up in year 2. I still had year 3 to complete of uni. So I was then in uni trying to do my degree, post all these orders, do the social media. It was COVID as well. We were on lockdown. I had live workouts every single day, because I had all these ambassadors that were promoting the brand.
Yeah.
I had influencers coming on the account every day to do live workouts, trying to manage this global community whilst also doing my degree.
Flip, man. So, and what did it start to kick off while you were at uni?
Yeah. So it kicked off. It really kicked off in that year.
Yeah.
Literally, as soon as I launched the brand, we went fully live in December. We went onto lockdown in March. And then from March for that year, it was I just went hard at it. I'd invested so much money, so I was like, let's go.
But where did that motivation come from? Was it like a hard point in your life where you thought, this is like, I need to do something?
I think I've never really sat down and said, where has this motivation come from? The only thing I can sit here and say is, obviously in school was a difficult time, but I still managed to get my GCSEs. So I managed to turn it into a positive. And what I've realised is when I'm hungry for something and I want success, I will go for it.
Yeah.
And I look at like my parents and my family and my sisters and my brothers, and I just think, I want them to be able to look at me and say, I can kill it too. Regardless of if they're good at school, if they're not, they can do whatever they want if they literally just put their minds to it.
Literally. That's interesting because school is quite a vicious place, isn't it really?
Yeah.
Kids can be quite cruel.
Yeah, they can. I went to a girls' school as well.
Yeah, it's mean.
It's like cats.
Yeah.
All of them.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it was awful. I honestly, I envy every single person that says they miss school, because I wish I missed school. I wish I enjoyed the journey. I went to college after, and that was mixed, and I had the best time ever.
Really?
Yeah, it was great.
Wow. Yeah, because there's always like these little cliques, like there's a cool crowd and there's the alternative crowd and like different groups and stuff. I always felt like I floated in between.
Yeah.
So I never just stayed with one group of people.
That's the best way to be, though.
Literally.
It is. I remember when I fell out with everyone, I then sat in the library and I met these girls that used to just sit in the library every lunch and read books. And I used to think, what do they read books for? They were the nicest girls I've ever spoken to in my life. And I thought, I wish I'd have read all these books with them.
Literally.
I know.
Damn. Okay. So you launched gym law while you're at uni.
Yeah.
It started to take off. You left university and you thought, I'm going to do this full time.
Everyone thought I was mad.
Why didn't you just get the law degree and do the job?
Why would you? I think so. I looked at it and I thought, well, if I continue with law, I now have to do a year to either take the bar, which is going to cost more money. I was in 50 grand's worth of debt from uni.
Oh man.
And I thought, I've just spent 40 grand on stock for gym law, which I could generate 80 to 120 grand. Why do I now want to go and work for someone?
Yeah.
Of course I don't. But either way, my family thought I was mental, because they were like, you've got this degree, you've got this debt, this is the safe option. And trying to explain that without trying to let people down was hard. But I think they did also believe in me as well.
And I think family, because they love you to bits, obviously.
Yeah.
And they want you to have the safest and cleanest life possible.
Yeah.
And business is risky. It could all go wrong. So they just want to protect you from that.
You know what, though? So is working for someone. I went into my office the other day, and downstairs is a massive conveyancing firm. I came in and it was empty. And I was like, where is everyone? They'd gone bankrupt. Everyone had lost their jobs overnight. So how is it safer to work for someone than to work for yourself? It isn't.
Yeah, it's true. And then you realise when you stop working, that's it. As soon as that paycheck stops, you're finished.
There's nothing there. There's no especially if you work for a job where there's no incentives, you are literally stuck. And every single month, that's why you end up struggling to pay bills.
Mad. So I want to hear about the launch story of Eventus, because was that your next business? So
with gym law, I moved into my offices in the May.
Yeah.
And literally in the May, I'd invested every single penny I had into stock, and everything got held at customs. And when I say everything got held, it got held, and they were like, we have no date that you could have this by.
No way. Did you have orders already? Or?
I had orders coming in, because obviously I took pre-orders, so I couldn't satisfy them orders at all. I had no money to pay the rent, and I thought, why have I not got an emergency fund for this? But I physically couldn't keep up with the demand of the orders.
Yeah.
I never took any investment.
Yeah.
I literally just tried to please everyone. So that was a nightmare. So I remember sitting in this office space. It was empty. I thought, how do I explain this? I've not gone back to uni. My office is empty.
You got rent to pay.
Yeah, I've got rent to pay for 12 months. And I looked around and I thought, right, what am I good at? And I'd managed everything for Gym Law. I'd never hired anyone during that period. I literally did the social media, paid ads, the shipping, everything was me. And I just thought, well, let me monetize on what I'm good at. I've built brands, I've sold brands, I'm building a brand still.
Yeah.
Let me go and build other people's brands.
Wow. So did you think I'm giving up on Gym Law, or were you like?
No, I didn't think I was going to give up on it because it was my passion project in a sense.
Yeah.
So I wanted it to still obviously be there and I wanted to put my focus into it. But I also knew that I had bills to pay. And if Gym Law wasn't going to be, if I couldn't do that at that point, then I needed something else.
Yeah.
So Hunger Mo kicked in and I went out to find clients.
Mad. And so why did you pick SMMA? What about SMMA did you like?
I think it wasn't, when I went into it, I didn't really have in my head, this is a social media marketing agency. I didn't.
Okay, yeah.
I literally just monetized on what I was good at.
Yeah.
But rather than me instantly saying, right, I'm going to get a client and do the work, my first client was $2,500 a month and I hired instantly. I took on someone full time.
Wait,
instantly.
So how did you get that first client then?
So I didn't do it as traditional route. Now I wouldn't just recommend doing this, but I literally went onto job sites and I would apply for jobs with like a dead creative CV.
Yeah.
They'd ring me for an interview.
Yeah.
I'd attend the interview and just pitch my agency.
No.
Literally. I would pitch my agency.
That is actually mad creative.
Yeah. I just literally used to pitch my agency. I remember driving to Manchester as well, walking in and they were like, so tell me about your career, like what you've got, your qualifications. I was like, no, tell me what your business needs and I'll tell you what you need. And they were like, right, okay, let's sign. And they signed.
But were they not scared you're going to take their jobs?
Well, no, because I work collaboratively with them. So when I managed Gym Law, I only outsourced in the last 6 weeks before I moved into the offices, my ads.
Okay.
I had a really poor experience with the agency I worked with. Like I didn't see any returns. The communication just wasn't there.
Oh, that was running your stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was only 6 weeks,
yeah.
But I would send an email on the Monday and I'd hear back on the Friday. So I thought, I can do this myself 10 times better.
And I feel like some agencies, sorry to cut you off.
No.
Some agencies will pitch amazingly at the beginning. You take them on and there's nothing on the back of it. It's like, where's the service?
Well, you speak to that one salesperson and then they're gone.
Yeah.
You don't hear from them. And you're like, what?
That's it.
Yeah. And then that person doesn't understand your brand. You're going through an onboarding period with someone that doesn't know they exist. Whereas you don't get that with us.
Flip. That's mad. So you go in, you applied for the jobs, you then pitch yourself.
Yeah.
Did you get a good response or were they just pissed off?
Don't get me wrong. Out of, I'd say 60% of people were actually really impressed. 40% of people were pissed that I'd wasted their time.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would be memorable. They will remember me.
Yeah.
So I've actually got a few people that have said no to me, have followed me on Instagram recently, the brands, So
that's just so out of the box. I'd never think of doing that.
Well, I didn't think I was doing it right because I was literally spending every single day scrolling the last 24 hours of Indeed, applying for jobs. And that was like my full-time job was applying for jobs and then doing sales calls.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Okay, so that first client, what was the service and how much was that?
Yeah, so I've still got them today.
Is it? That's good.
Yeah. So they are like an eco-sustainable style, like econ brand.
Okay.
Now, we offered social media management and content in the beginning. So we would literally just manage their Instagram, Facebook, and we would do all their posting for them.
Yeah. Because most companies, even like big companies, don't know how to run their social media.
Oh my gosh.
Like I always mention the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
A lot of these big restaurants, their social media is terrible. It's very stiff, very corporate.
Yeah.
And they just don't have any idea how to run it.
They don't. And the worst thing is when you work with a bigger company, they don't like change either.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they hate it. We've worked with some really big restaurant chains and I've gone in and they've been like, nope, I don't want to see UGC. I need to see commercial imagery. And it's like, no one wants to see it though. Like you either listen to the experts or you remain in the same situation that you are. It's hard.
But a lot of the time it's people that never use TikTok or these different channels. Yeah. They're just talking from like corporate speech.
Yeah. And it's hard to change that mindset. But I think if you can get in on a personal level, you can change that mindset.
Yeah. Okay, so you got your first client, you said $2.5K a month.
Yeah.
What was that first year like? I'm sure it wasn't all smooth.
Oh no, it never is. It still isn't. It's a rocky road every day. That first year was good though. So took on my first employee full time.
Okay.
And my main focus was sales. Her main focus was learning how to smash it for clients.
Okay.
So the good thing about that was that we worked so closely with everyone that they never wanted to leave because they loved us. Like they built into our personal brands before I even knew personal branding was a thing.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then what I noticed was that we were basically supplying social media management, but I didn't have any content and the clients didn't have content. So you got to a point where like you were posting graphics and I thought this isn't converting because there's no face, there's no good content. So I then worked with a freelance videographer who was expensive.
Was he?
Yeah, he was so expensive. He was like $1,000 every single shoot. So it's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, that's mad.
Like it was $1,000 for a shoot and I think I got 30 pictures, 3 reels and 1 brand awareness video.
3 reels?
3 reels. That was it.
That's like one day for me.
Exactly. Exactly. But the content was amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, okay. The content is fab. The clients love it. But it meant that I had to really increase my packages so I could profit on that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we ended up taking a cut on some of them packages just so I could make sure the clients had good content.
Okay.
So that our socials would perform well.
Yeah.
And it worked. It did work. And then obviously I took on Phoebe full time as well. And
I feel like some companies, like they try and make the content too good or it's overproduced. Where you're just taking too long to put out one piece of content.
Yeah.
People aren't really looking for that anymore. They're looking for volume of good content.
Yeah, definitely. So this was obviously like 2 years ago that we'd started. Whereas now I would say to clients, you don't need a commercial shoot every single month.
No way.
You literally just need user generated content.
That's it, literally.
Yeah.
And then what was like the biggest client you kind of took on?
In terms of monetary in the first year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 5K a month was like the biggest client that we had.
5K.
Yeah, but all our retainers were 3 to 6 months long as well. So we were locked in with that.
Flip. Okay, and then what were like the biggest, sort of the hardest points during that year, would you say?
I think one of the hardest things is because I've personally grown a brand, I know what it's like in the beginning and I know how full on you need to be and how you need to have your eyes on the ball all the time. So when I was hiring the staff, I wanted to make sure that they were also the same. And I think when you've got this business, you want everything to be perfect. So when something isn't perfect, you're like, this is common sense. Why has this not been done? But they're like, no, I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm like, no, figure it out quicker. Yeah. But it doesn't always work like that. You have to remember that people are still learning.
Yeah.
So I would say the hardest part was staff and hiring the right people because I was still trying to figure it out along the way as well. And I was passionate about making sure my clients were happy. So I just wanted everyone to be happy.
It's so hard, isn't it? And also like, I think communicating your vision to people and put it in their head almost is so hard.
Yeah. I got to a point where like, even now, I'm labelled in Phoebe's phone as a fussy twat because she's like, you are banned. Anything I do for a client, I'll show you after I've sent it because I'll go, that needs changing, that needs changing.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah. It's perfect. But I like to be a perfectionist and sometimes that's not productive.
Yeah, that will hold you back. It just takes longer to put stuff out, isn't it?
And that's why you need to hire people as well that are better than you at things because you don't need to answer everything and you don't need to be in the business at all times.
Yeah. So I think with SMMA, like the cons I've heard and from my experience is that it can turn into like a job almost where you're just working for the client.
Yeah.
Is it like that for you? And if not, how have you made it not like that?
So I think I managed to combat that by hiring instantly.
Okay.
So because in the initial stages, I knew I wanted to monetize on what I was good at, but I knew that I didn't want to manage a client's account because if I had to then manage Gymlaw, I couldn't split my time with both.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I was good at sales, which I'd obviously learned from my previous businesses.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that the person I hired, their full-time job was to basically learn off me as well.
Oh, okay.
So I never actually managed a client.
Yeah.
Now I manage 2 clients.
Yeah.
And I do that because I want to, because I enjoy the client and I literally spend my evenings doing it. It takes me about 5 to 7 hours a week to do them for the month. It doesn't take me long at all. But that's because I've worked for so long in social media that I can smash it out so quickly.
Wow, that's mad.
Yeah.
And because I used to work for a company, like an Amazon consultancy agency.
Oh, yeah.
And we used to take on like startups and then we used to take on like big companies and we spent more time on the startups than we did on the big companies and they weren't bringing us 10% of the money.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, why are we taking on all this? Like, let's just focus on the big guys. And they just didn't want to do that.
Ah, so they wanted to still focus on the smaller ones.
Yeah, but it's the same time, if not more, for the smaller companies. So it's like, do you go for like the bigger companies or how do you...
So this is a hard one because it's been a mix. It has been a mix. And I know what you're saying with smaller clients always need a lot more. They've got smaller teams. They rely on you. And in the initial stages, I did go through a stage where I took on clients and they relied so much on social media being their income that if the results, say, weren't there that 1 month, they were like, business is closed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't work with that anymore. It's not productive for anyone. And it is too risky for both us and yourselves.
Yeah.
So now we do have a set where we're like, you need to be comfortable to work with us.
Yeah.
And also not just rely on us full time, because you need to focus on growing a brand.
So true.
Just relying on paid ads isn't going to run your business. And if paid ads are the only source of income, then your business is not sustainable.
It's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
So true. So I tried to start a little agency last year, actually.
Okay.
So my uncle wanted like a website, and he got like an insurance company.
Okay.
Family business, probably, I think 2 or 3 of them in the company.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, can you do me a website? I can't actually build websites myself.
Yeah.
But I found a guy on Fiverr that could do it. So I was like, okay, he can build a website.
Mm-hmm.
They want a website. I get a commission in between. It's simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I did it, and it just took so long because the guy wasn't that good at websites. So I spent so much time correcting what he did.
That you may as well have done it yourself and figured it out.
And I spent weeks doing it for like £200, and I was like, this is not for me.
This is not worth it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I actually work with someone that sold a website. He'd never created a website before, and he sold his first website for 20k and then put it down as a deposit on a house. And he figured it out on the way. And I remember thinking, I would never do that. But the website was really good at the end of it, and he probably put more time and effort into it than a fully qualified developer. Because he wanted to get it right. He had a house riding on it. He's like, I need this house.
So he built it himself?
He built it himself, yeah.
What did he know how to do websites before?
No, he figured it out from YouTube.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in it.
Yeah, that's a good salesperson, that, isn't it?
That's mad.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you, if I gave you £1,000 today, how would you turn that into an agency making 10k a month?
So you gave me £1,000 today. Yeah. I'd probably go on holiday tomorrow for a few days. Then I'd come back and I'd sit down and go, right, how am I now going to make £10,000 per month? Because you don't need it. Like, you don't need £1,000 to set up an agency to hit 10k. Yeah. If you look at what I do right now, in the initial stages, yes, okay, I had an office. I didn't need that overhead. I also didn't need the staff. You can hit 10k by literally just sitting down, deciding your niche, creating content, and actually going out and speaking to people.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need money to get started. Yes, you need to buy a domain if you want a website.
Yeah.
But social media is free. You can create an Instagram account tomorrow. Phone calls, okay, you need a phone contract. Ring people. That's the only cost that you've got. Yeah. You don't need money to go into this space. You just need experience. But one thing I would say, if you can, I'd invest in a mentor, because I did wing it from the get-go.
Okay. Yeah.
But only a mentor that's done it, because they make the mistakes. And you'll see mentors which have literally watched YouTube videos trying to sell a course. I wouldn't buy into that.
I'm seeing so many of them, because obviously I research the guests that I bring on.
Yeah.
A lot of them aren't doing what they're talking about. And I'm like, you seem so confident and believable. Like, because
it's sales. And I think the worst thing is when you work in sales, you can see through the bullshit of everyone. And even like the people that have come on my podcast, well, sorry, not actually made it onto the podcast, I've spoke to them and I've gone, not a chance.
And I don't like it, because I'm basically the target audience, right?
Yeah.
And when you want something so badly, you're very easy to manipulate.
Oh, yeah.
So people will drop 2k on a course that won't give them nothing. Like, and they're just playing on that, and I don't really respect it.
Yeah, and I think it's not even, you've got to buy into that person. If you're buying into someone's course and you think he's a dick, but I'm buying into the course, you're not going to learn anything, because you're going into a mindset thinking, I'm jealous of him, but I want to achieve this, or I'm jealous of her, but I want to achieve that.
Yeah.
You're not going in with an open mindset. So it's like, even when choosing a mentor, you want to work with someone that you genuinely click with. If you don't click, it's not ever going to work.
Yeah, because I've seen you do this. Is it the 10k challenge that you started?
Yeah.
So I watched the first one. It's sick.
Yeah.
How is it finished now? Or
yeah.
How do you? Well, don't tell the end point. But how was it?
No, I will say, because by then it will. I think it will have gone live. So we hit £14,638.
What, for the month?
Yeah. And if you asked me what the £38 was, it was a tip from a client. I was like, brilliant.
That's mad.
I know.
Because I watched the first sit where I think you went to the NEC.
Yes.
And you just started talking to people randomly, and then you had like your cards and stuff.
That was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I could imagine.
None of them had social media there. I literally was like, right, I went onto Google and typed in trade shows that are coming up in the area. And we went to the NEC, and I just walked in and started speaking to people, and it worked though. We got so many leads from that.
But it's crazy that you were nervous, and you're like, you know so much. Like, you're not really going to say the wrong thing. How comes you were so nervous?
I think because I didn't know anything about that industry. So I was going into construction, and I was looking at these like, extensions. And I was like, that's a lovely extension. Isn't that a great loft? Like, I didn't really understand it, but I knew that I'd find people that would specialize in it, and then I would figure it out along the way. But I'll be totally honest. I knew that I didn't want to sell something that I didn't believe in, but I knew that I'd figure it out. And if I didn't believe in it, then I wouldn't. But I would always use my initiative to kind of figure it out.
Yeah. But I think this is what I like about agency businesses. You can literally start with nothing and just have personality and a bit of knowledge.
Yeah, because if you think about it, you don't need to go into these, you don't need to approach these businesses and say, listen, I'm going to charge $5,000 a month and this is what I'm going to give you. You can go up to these people and say, right, okay, if I guarantee to bring you in 5 leads per month, then you can pay me. If I don't, you don't pay me a penny. These people aren't going to say no to that. They'll say yes. And then if you don't bring them in 5 leads, you've learned what's gone wrong and you can adjust for next month. But all you've used is their ad spend. That's the only thing they need to invest. And you're gaining that experience.
Yeah. And I guess because you offer stuff for free up front.
So I don't anymore, but that is one way that you can obviously get into the space. If you think, I haven't really got any experience, you can approach people and say, I will bring you at this in. Don't approach them and say, I've got no experience, I want to run your ads though. But go approach it in a way that's compelling, that makes people think, this person can actually help me.
Yeah, that's so true. Because I follow Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
And he just talks about basically giving value up front and delaying the ask as long as possible.
Yeah.
He's like, the longer you delay it, the more you can actually get at the back end.
Oh, definitely.
So just providing that value up front changes the whole game.
Yeah, it's like on social media, if you can give out more free value than what's in your paid course, then people have already bought into you, and it actually makes your paid course look even better because you've already given out so much free value.
Exactly. So is that what's the plan moving forward? I know you started the podcast.
Yeah.
What's the plan for the future for Eventus and where you're trying to take it?
So one of the biggest things I struggled with was kind of something we spoke about before, was that I'd do sales calls, then I'd obviously pass people off to my team, but I would still be in, say, WhatsApp groups and close communication with my clients. So I made sure that they could ring me on a Friday night if they wanted to. There wasn't any 9 to 5, but a lot of them still wanted to work with me. And I thought, right, I can't mentor everyone and I can't work with everyone. So how can I get around this? So I started my one-to-one mentorship, which was obviously more high ticket because I had to value my time. And now we're in the process of developing the new Era Accelerator, which basically will be mentored by me, but I can mentor groups, and then we'll have a massive community and also pre-recorded modules and courses that people can go on and watch that are carried out by me.
Yeah, so it's so accessible, isn't it, for anyone to just jump on?
Yeah. And sorry.
Have you launched it?
No, so it's due to launch this year. I'm thinking October. I just want it to be really good when it
Let us know, because fits our audience completely, because you're providing opportunities direct to the audience, and you're not trying to charge them any stupid money. Like,
no,
it's all affordable and high value.
Yeah, so this was the thing. When I released my agency course, originally I was going to keep it high ticket, and it was high ticket when it released, and it's 80 modules long. And then I just thought, right, I've done this, but I don't want to just focus on people creating social media marketing agencies. I want to be able to provide for businesses because I've got a naturally entrepreneurial mind that I can help there. So I've changed that to subscription, and it's £39 a month. Like, it's so cheap. And even like my templates and proposals in there, you wouldn't be able to get that anywhere for that price. So I'm like, people can take that value, they can use it, and they can actually start to make a difference themselves as well.
I love that. So you're basically scaling up your knowledge.
Yeah.
That's sick.
It's not really profitable for me in a sense that I want it to be profitable, but I do like the idea of helping people. Yeah, no,
that's sick. So what would you say is like the best niches or example niches that you think are quite good to get into? Like, you can a few that you might.
I think there's niches and there's also services. Okay. So niches, I think any niche can be profitable. E-commerce is hard. We're in it. It's hard. Like, selling product can be really difficult because you do have drops in months, and the client
and the margins are thin, aren't they?
Obviously depending on the product, but yes.
Yeah.
And e-com's hard, but obviously there's always money in it. I would say to stick with like service-based businesses. So aesthetics, there's a lot of money to be made in aesthetics. The only problem with that is once you max one person out, they then haven't always got someone else there that can carry out the work.
What aesthetics is like
Botox and like lip injections.
Because that's high ticket, isn't it?
It is high ticket, so you can work on a commission basis as well. But if you were bringing in leads for service-based business owners, there's so much potential there. So even like construction firms, bathroom companies, as I said before, if you ring up and say, I'll bring you in 5 leads, they're not going to say no unless they're really busy.
Yeah.
So there's so much potential to be made in service-based businesses.
Okay.
And the same with globally. It doesn't have to be the UK. You can obviously expand your reach. You just need to learn the area.
Yeah, that's sick. I love that.
Yeah.
So I want to find out, how has your life changed? Because now you're making the big bucks. How has your life changed? I'm guessing you were living at home before.
Yeah.
Have you moved out? Like, how has your life changed with making that much money?
So I moved out when I was 18. Moved out when I was 18, lived in a flat, got a new car, got a 2 Series. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Then I thought, how am I going to pay for it every month? But we did. And then it blew up. It actually went on fire. That was petrifying. Yeah, so anyway.
Did your Range Rover, something happened to your Range Rover, didn't it?
Okay, yeah. So my BM blew up 13 months ago. And then I got a Range Rover and everyone said, don't get a Range Rover.
Yeah,
it breaks. So I was like, no. Paid for warranty, paid for the RAC. And then, my engine's gone.
Do you know that's the car that's the most stolen in London anyway?
Apparently the insurances are like $6,000.
It's mad because people just take it all the time.
Well, you can't take mine. It's got no engine. It won't move.
So where are you driving now?
I'm not. It's in. So basically, it broke down. Tried to get it into Land Rover November. I was like, right, okay, I can't really cope with no car. Then I've paid to get it taken to Manchester, which is an hour and a half away from mine. And now the warranty company doesn't want to pay out.
Oh my God.
Because it was due a service at the time.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get it serviced because it was broke. And now they're saying they won't pay because it was over the service.
So what happens now then?
You don't get a Range Rover. That's what happens. You buy a new engine and
I've seen so many people have the same problem, you know?
Yeah, it's bad.
It's mad.
Everyone's saying, I told you so.
So what are you getting now? The Lambo?
Well, we'll blooming see after the engine. I know. But when I moved out when I was 18, I then moved into a house when I was like 21. Moved there with my partner. Then moved out when about a year and 13 months ago now.
Yeah.
And they sold the house. So I was renting at the time and all my funds were literally going into my business. So they sold the house and then I had to move back home because there was no properties at all. But I've just bought a house now about 2 weeks ago and also put a deposit on an Airbnb as well.
Oh, what, to rent out?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Liverpool is nice. Well, not Liverpool.
Well.
Yeah, but that area is nice and cheap, isn't it? Like,
depends. So where I am, the property is like a good property. You're looking at like 250k upwards. But obviously when you compare that to London, that's well cheap when I think about it.
So cheap.
Yeah.
You can't even get a studio for that in my area.
Yeah. Well, my rent is like £1,600 to £1,800 a month for like a nice house, but with a big garden.
More than 1 bedroom?
3 bedroom, big garden.
That's crazy.
Dreamy.
That would be like £1 million in my area.
I know, but that's crazy to me because even making money where I'm from, it's still expensive, and down here is just ridiculous.
That's why, because a while ago, I was like, people were like, oh, how much do you need? How much do you want to make a month to be comfortable? And I said 16k. And they were like, what are you talking about? But I was like, adding things up, supporting my family. Yeah. It's not crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And you know what? Like, I don't know what the average salary is down here.
36k.
36k, and your rent is what? What can it be?
Over 2 grand, 2.2.
It's not even, it doesn't even calculate right.
It's mad.
It doesn't even make sense. So yeah, I wouldn't live in London.
But that's why you have to do extra things. And I feel like everyone needs to have a side hustle or a business
to be here,
to be comfortable.
Do you think it's worth it?
What, in London?
Yeah.
No. I feel like you need to live outside of London and commute in. The money's here for sure.
Yeah.
The connections are here. But live outside and commute down. Because you can get to, like, for how long from Liverpool on the train?
2 hours.
2 hours, yeah.
Yeah, like 2 hours 20. It's absolutely nothing. And I work on the train as well. So when I get here, I'm always in the middle of something. And I'm like, can you just hold off? I've got something to do. You just keep driving for a little bit longer. Because
it takes me an hour to get into Central anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because of the connections in South London. It's just an hour. So it's like...
Do you get the tube?
Yeah, well, there's no tube in my area.
Oh, thank God. It's the worst thing in the world. I'm honestly traumatized.
It's funny that you're so surprised by the tube.
It's just not like that where we're from. And I know it's only 2 hours on the tube back, but or the train.
A hot day, you're going all the way to Carnival, Central Line, horrid. There'll be some guy's sweaty armpit near your face.
That's what it was. There was actually an armpit in my face. Yeah. And I was like, I can't put my head anywhere. Like my nose in an armpit.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so you bought the Range, it broke down.
Yeah, so how's life changed? Back to it. So, do you know what? I wouldn't say it's like changed drastically in a sense where I'm like, I'm buying this and that. Like, I like nice things, but I do like experiences. It more of like buying like, you know, your typical like bags and things like that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I've got a few nice bags, but it's one of them.
You've got the Birkin.
I haven't got a Birkin. I wouldn't get one.
I need like, how much are they? 10 grand?
Yeah, you get like bonds for like 20k there and upwards.
Mad, isn't it?
I'll have one next week and I'll go, I said I wouldn't get a Birkin. No. I'd rather put that money into like, I don't know, I do stuff for my family all the time. Like my birthday's obviously just been, and in my card, my sister was like, happy birthday. Thanks for spending all your money on me. Great.
So do you like treating your family then? Is that where your money goes?
I love it. Well, obviously I save as well. Like everything I have does also get invested back into the business.
Yeah.
Because I want to get into property and I've got so many ideas that just pop up where I'm like, right, that needs to be there for that. And the team grow. I also incentivize the team a lot.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah.
Because I see you're quite close with your mum.
Yeah.
Is that your motivation? Is she part of that?
Yeah, definitely. Like my mum and my dad are literally like my best friends. Like I always say I'm lucky, but like they're my best friends.
That's the same for me, innit? And like I just assume everyone's like that, but they're not. A lot of people don't have the relationship with their parents like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't talk to their parents. So like, yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Don't get me wrong. My mum, she'll hate me for this, but she can be a crank. And I'm like, Mum, come on. But you know, I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm like, she's done everything for me to make sure I've always had everything.
Yeah.
And my dad's done the same. So
I don't get, because like you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for your parents. So it's like, how can, because some people are so disrespectful to their parents. It's like, you literally wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't. And my brother said that before. I didn't choose to be born. No, you didn't. But you are here now. So this is life. Welcome.
Yeah. All the sleepless nights they had when you were a baby. Like, yeah.
Exactly. I'm so grateful for them. Don't get me wrong. Like, they had normal jobs. They had good jobs while I was growing up, but we never went without. Like, yeah. My mum she put me in private school, and I didn't fit in private school at all. And we used to rock up in this little Fiesta. Everyone had the best cars ever, Ranges, BMs.
Oh my God.
And she was like, no, you're in this school. And I was like, I don't need to be here. I lasted about 3 years, and then I was out.
I had the same thing, because I went to a private school in Croydon, actually, a boys' school. But everyone there's obviously quite well off. We weren't well off. My mum used to work herself to the bone. She was a cleaner. My dad worked hard.
Yeah.
And we would pull up in like she had a Fiesta as well, actually.
Oh.
And it's just like, that made me so motivated to give back to her as I'm older. Like, I want to reward her for what she did for me, kind of thing.
Definitely. Like, you look back and you think, well, she didn't have it at the time. Yeah. But they made it happen. Even though it never worked out. I didn't become a lawyer. But like, you want to be able to give back. And I think deep down, that's why I always thought, I have to make this work, because I can't not go down a right route, because I want to be able to obviously give back to them and say thank you to them. Yeah,
that's amazing. Are you close to doing that? Like,
yeah, I do it all the time anyway. I would like to pay both of their mortgages off.
Yeah.
I'd like them to be done. I don't want them to retire at 66, whatever the age is. I'd rather them be retired next year. So I've always said, like, if you say to me, what is my goal? I really struggle, because my goal is to make sure that my parents, my family are happy. And then I'll deal with personal, because I feel like I'm young enough to figure that out.
Yeah, the retirement is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
The pension they give you is not enough to live on.
No.
Like, you might last 5 years.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
It's madness.
Yeah. So looking ahead now, what has been your best month so far, and what are you trying to get to in terms of the agency? Yeah,
so obviously I like to say that every month is the best month, because we're still here.
Yeah.
But financial, we got to 65k, which is a lot of money. But, you know, with an agency, you can get to that. But that doesn't always mean that you're making 65k, because obviously you do have overheads and staff and things like that. Ideally, I'd rather shift everything over to the mentorship side, because one, it is also more profitable, but I like to be able to meet people, and it means that I'm not just stuck in this bubble where I've got a set amount of clients, then I'm dealing with more staff, because obviously more clients, more staff, more problems. And it isn't always effective, and that's when you start to get a bad reputation, because you can't manage everything, and no one does take your brand as serious as you do. Whereas mentorship, I feel like that is quite personable, and even like Phoebe now, having her on my team and following me around, she gets it. She gets my passion, and yes, I
think that there's like a big stigma with courses. It's like, oh, they're not making money from their business, so they're trying to sell us a course. But you're just trying to, first of all, change people's lives, like yourself. Also, you want something that's scalable, that will live on past you having to work every day. Yeah,
definitely. Don't get me wrong, the agency will continue to grow.
Yeah.
And my idea is to bring someone on that can kind of replace me in like business development, but finding that one person that's going to be me is difficult. And any business owner that says it's easy, they're lying, because it's not. Like, these gurus that you see on like YouTube, they're like, an agency's easy. It's not. I literally look horrific throughout the week. horrific. And like, because we're filming like the weekly challenges now. By the end of the week, I look bedraggled.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can finally see how bad I look at the end of the week.
But it's good you're showing that on the things, the clips. And then how has like, I know AI is huge.
Mm-hmm.
How has that affected your business? Are you starting to use it?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's amazing. It makes everyone more productive. Like, it's the best thing ever. In social media, if you can use it to benefit you in a sense where it comes up with ideas, then you can add your own twist. You literally don't need to do anything that you used to. Like, you can get rid of all the legwork from having to sit there and come up with all these copywriting for captions, even emails. Like, I used it the other day to send Land Rover and ask the emails to sort my engine out. I was like, please write this in a better email. Like, it's the best thing ever, AI. And if you can really start to monetize that now, you'll always be ahead of the game.
I saw this one called, I think it's called Opus Clips.
Opus Pro.
It's Opus Pro?
opuspro.ai.
This thing is mad. So you can put in like a whole podcast and it will chop it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally knows who's speaking and it'll put captions all over it within like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Right. So Opus is good, but there's video. So it's like vidyo.ai.
Okay.
So video.ai, it's the exact same thing as Opus Pro, but you pay about £10 or £15 a month. You can change all your fonts, your branding, your colour scheme. It cuts everything down on the captions and you can edit them.
So that was my problem because our captions are very particular.
Yeah.
Opus Pro, it mainly did like the same kind of format captions. So that sounds like it's better than...
Yeah. So you can change the format. You can also split screen where you, say if you've got a podcast like me and you now, say if we were sat next to each other and it was filming this way, you can split the screen and move the people.
Flip.
It's the best thing ever. Like, obviously we've got a podcast editor and he films our podcast, sends it over once that's done, but then we'll go in and just do all the short form.
It's actually mad how things are going to change and it's moving so quickly.
Yeah.
I feel like ChatGPT only came out like, was it last year?
If I had that when I was in uni, I'd be a millionaire. Like, I would literally be like, madness.
That thing has changed my life, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you got any other like extensions or tools that people can use if they were trying to start an agency that you've used? Yeah.
So when it comes to starting an agency, obviously there's so many different softwares that you can use for different things. Like, you can have CRMs. I'll be totally honest, I was the most unorganized person. Like, you would come in and say, Abby, you've got 75,000 tabs open and you've got your leads written down on a pad and a piece, like a pad and a pen. And I'm like, yeah, but that's how I like it.
Yeah.
I literally use Google Sheets at this moment in time, and that's my best friend because it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's so simple.
Like, you can use like Trello. We can use Trello, we can use Notion for like CRMs and tracking your leads. But I'll be totally honest, I like to use Google Sheets.
Because some things are overkill. Like, I used Monday at one point. But unless you've got a massive team, it's just too much.
It's just another thing that you have to do.
Yeah, it's another task to update.
Yeah, there's Slack. So obviously you can use Slack for managing teams.
Yeah.
I've got one client on Slack at the moment, and then I'm like, I need to check Slack. I don't want to check Slack, but it's one of them, and that it's obviously whatever works for the client. But there's loads of different things that you can use. So obviously you've got scheduling tools. So you've got Plannerly, which works quite good. But again, we stick to like the old school Facebook Business Suite because I just feel like it performs better when you use their own platforms.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can schedule reels and things in Instagram now as well.
That is sick, man. So looking ahead, so the plan is to kind of build a mentorship.
Yeah.
The agency, you're going to expand that.
Yes.
What kind of niches are you going for after? What's like the brands that you look at?
So what I find with me is that because I've grown my personal brand on Instagram, I get so many different leads every single day in different niches. And I always say to people, listen, if I can't help you, I will refer people over. So I'll say, right, okay, I might take a kickback from a certain niche. But at this moment in time, we do specialize in e-com. But then obviously we do help service-based business owners, content creators, online business coaches. We help all of them from like the personal branding aspect and also how to gain leads organically.
Yeah.
So really we can be quite flexible because we know how to monetize social media because we do it with my personal brand and we also do it for clients as well.
Have you got any little tips? I'm trying to steal all the gems today. Any tips for someone trying to grow their socials?
Yeah. So
like a personal brand.
Don't overthink it. Literally, you don't need to overthink it. You need to sit there and say, right, okay, people need to buy into me as a person. So I need to express myself because you can try and be someone else online, but then when you meet them in person and they're not like that, you can't uphold it. So be yourself. Film everything that you're doing, and I mean literally get a tripod up and film like us now. Even if you're brushing your teeth in the morning, film it, stick it in a day in the life. Like, post as much as you can, but focus on quality over quantity in a sense that when you're putting these clips out, if they're raw and relatable, just like people do on TikTok, People love it. Add text over it and make sure you're speaking to your target audience. But also remember that not every client is your ideal client. So really make sure that you're homing in on who you want to speak to. And clients will come in, but you have to be consistent with it.
Consistency is key, isn't it?
100%. If you're not consistent, don't moan when people haven't come through the door.
I think a lot of people think, because you seem quite confident, like you always naturally be good in front of camera.
Yeah.
Some people aren't as confident. They don't feel like people are interested in what they have to say.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that kind of person? Like,
I wasn't confident. We spoke about this before.
Yeah.
So I wasn't confident at all when I first started speaking on camera. Like even the other day, I did a podcast and he came in and he was like, do you mind if I just film something for my weekly? I was like, yeah, sure. He went, okay, got this camera up and put it in front of my face and said, talk. And I was like, I don't know what to say. It was in bits. And I thought he's going to have all these edits of me on like his camera going, blah, 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 blah.
Oh my God.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
But I would say, just keep practicing. Obviously, your first video that you create, it's going to be awful. That's fine. But when you look back on that in a year's time, you will come such a long way. My first video, I tried to do my makeup and talk to the camera, and I found it the other day. And I was like, what? I was putting mascara on like my cheek. I was like, this isn't right. But yeah, just be yourself, keep doing it, be consistent with it. And you've got to remove any emotion. So remove any emotion from what you're doing and think you're doing this to benefit yourself, your family. And if people aren't going to buy into you, or your followers that are on there are people from school that'll judge you, they're not going to buy from you anyway. You don't want them. So sieve them out and you'll actually start to attract people that will buy from you.
That's so true. And you'll be surprised at how many people will support you.
Oh, yeah.
That you think wouldn't.
Yeah, my network right now is not anyone that I knew a year ago, and they support me every single day. I've got a network that I literally post, and they'll have my the post notifications turned on, and they're there, and I'm like, I didn't know these people last year, but they're so supportive.
Yeah, it's so crazy, like especially when you've got a vision and it goes out there and someone actually supports it and follows it.
Yeah.
You're like, what? This is crazy.
Yeah, because people believe in people, and like it's hard to find people and good people and people that will believe in you. But when you do find them, like stick with them, because it's the best thing that you can do.
That's sick, man. So going back to the business then, I've left uni.
Yeah.
I've got some money in my pocket and I found that niche.
Yeah.
Say it's construction. How do I capitalize on that? What's the first service I should offer?
So what I would say is paid ads is it's not easy, but it's something that you can figure out. If you're analytical, then I would say, right, okay, you want to approach a service-based business owner. You want to say to them, right, I'm going to bring you in these leads and this is how I'm going to do it. Will you give me a chance? You don't necessarily need to pay me. Pay me once I've brought you in something, and just use that as kind of like a case study and like a learning curve. Because if you can't offer a construction service, then in a sense, you can't bring them leads in and then do anything with them because you can't build a house. So offer it for free, where you can then obviously start to build up your database. And that's what I would do. I would literally figure it out in that sense. And I would work with them people and say, I've now brought you in these leads.
But how do I get the leads?
So when it comes to finding the leads, if you've got a phone, go into your local area and bring every single local builder. Say if we're going to go down the builder niche, construction, bring every single builder and say, this is what I'm going to do. If a lot of them will put the phone down. And if you can't get past the gatekeeper, you want to find out the owner's name, which you can say do on LinkedIn, you can do it on the website, find out their name, call them, say if a gatekeeper, like a receptionist, answers, you want to say, hey, I want to speak to Dave. And they're like, oh, who's calling? You say, oh, no, it's a bit of a personal matter. I just need to speak to him. Get him to give me a call back, or I'll give him a call tomorrow. They'll say, oh, yeah, that's fine. Because it's easy to get past them if you're not going in trying to sell something.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the money off them in the beginning. Because you don't know you can actually deliver results.
Yeah.
So if you're new, try and obviously over-deliver in a sense. And if you can't do it, keep trying.
That's a good point. So basically delay the sell as long as possible.
Yeah.
So I get through to, we'll call him Steve.
Oh, Steve, Dave.
Steve, the director. And what do we say to Steve?
So I'd say to Steve, listen, Steve, obviously, I'm not really sure what your position is right now, but if I could bring you in 5 leads this month, you don't have to pay me a penny until they close. Would you be opposed to it? He'll probably say, obviously not. Bring me in the leads.
Yeah.
And they'll say, right, okay, brilliant. Let's jump on a call on Wednesday. We'll jump on a Zoom call. Upsell the service and say, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to bring you in these 5 leads. I need this ad spend. Say it's £500 to £1,000 per month. I need this. Or work out what obviously their profit margins are on, say, selling 1 extension, or if it's a bathroom company, 1 bathroom. And then close the client in that sense. Get the onboarding documents over, ask them the questions, get access, and then start to learn along the way.
That's sick. I like it.
You figure it out.
That's amazing. And then, so you're saying paid is the first service to start with?
Paid's probably an easy service. When you do social media management, you need to kind of, you can get into that quite easily, but I'd say that's harder now because you need to provide results. It isn't as easy as it used to be because you need to make sure that you've got content. But what I used to do, and I still kind of do sometimes, is say if I have a client that I want to work with, I'll look at their Instagram feed now and I'll say, that is horrific. How can we make that look better? So I'll go in and I'll basically do an audit. So I'd say, right, okay, this is what they can change. And then I'll also recreate them an example feed on Canva. So I'll stick that into a proposal and send it over. It'll take me 1 or 2 hours, but when they get it, they go, this girl's done me an audit and literally made this proposal completely bespoke to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with her because no one else has put that much effort
Literally.
in. Yeah.
So you're going a step above everyone else.
Completely. Yeah. And you're tailoring it and showing, well, right now your feed looks crap, but your feed could look like this. And yeah, so it does work.
That's sick. And then how much would you charge in terms of like your fee on that paid?
On paid advertising?
Yeah, what kind of fees do you charge per service? Like,
so in the initial stages, I would try and keep it on the lower scale, but obviously it depends on the ad spend. The bigger the ad spend, usually the bigger your payment is going to be, because it's more time that you need to spend in that ad account. But what I would say is you can work on a performance basis where you might say, right, okay, I'm going to charge a flat rate of 997. And if you spend over 10 grand, 50 grand on ads per month, I'm going to take a 10% cut of obviously what I bring in for you. That's something that we don't do. I did try it in the beginning, but I didn't like at the end of the month having to invoice these big bills because it didn't feel right to me. That was my job anyway. I wanted to provide a good service to these people. Yes, okay, it would have meant that we'd have made so much more money. But I didn't feel like I could keep that personal relationship because what I found was a lot of clients then wanted to just hire someone in-house because it was a cheaper alternative.
Yeah, true.
So then you've got to try and upsell yourself and saying, well, no, you can stay with us. Like, this makes sense that you're paying us 10 to 20 grand per month. It doesn't. They could have a whole team for that. So I would say paid advertising, and then social media can be anything really from £600 per month up to £5 grand per month. And
then would you say to start by yourself, or like when do you outsource and bring that team in?
Obviously, completely up to you in terms of if you want to provide the service. If you've not got any experience, so you've not had any businesses, do the work. Once you get a client, do the work. Figure out what works for that client in terms of performance. And then obviously once you start to max yourself out and you haven't got enough time to keep finding new clients, then look to outsource. You could either outsource the whole service or part of it where you're still the face of that client, but someone else behind the scenes is doing the work. That just frees up your time as well.
Because there was like a hustle that was, it got popular on TikTok, I think earlier this year. And it was basically called drop servicing, where you have someone on Fiverr fulfill like an Upwork job or whatever way around.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how the job works, you can't really fulfill the service, because if anything goes wrong,
you have no leg to stand on.
You're done, yeah.
I think as well, the more you learn how to do it, you can upsell that as well. So when you're trying to speak to someone and sell a service, you can only stick to a script so much. If they ask you something that you don't understand, it might be dead like a dead common sense question as well. And you might be like, I haven't got a clue. You'd rather have an understanding and you'd rather know what works, because you've worked so hard to get that client anyway. You don't want to pass it off and only have them for a month to 3 months. You want them long term. Otherwise, you're constantly in this wheel of new leads, have to close them and new relationships. And it's hard.
It is hard. But say someone puts the work in and does that.
Yeah.
What could they make in like the first few months? What is like the opportunity?
I'll be totally honest, you can easily make 10k a month within the first month if you put the work in. Wow. If you said to me now, Abs, go and work in this niche, I want you to close 10 clients, I could do it. Because it's a case you can ring people. I can ring 100 people a day, 200 people a day. It's just a case of putting them hours in. But obviously if you work, say a 9 to 5, and you're saying, right, okay, I want to give this a go, 100, 200 calls, it's not reality, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I would say when you finish your job, come home and start to DM people, start to outreach, but send voice notes. If people aren't working past 5, send them a voice note.
Yeah.
Find their WhatsApp number.
Yeah.
Like, get past them gatekeepers, get their number, voice note them people, turn up at their doors. Like, you can go for it.
Yeah, it's good. Have you heard of social media influencer pooling? Pooling, yeah. So basically you group some influence together and offer it as a package to like a restaurant, for example.
Ugh. I hate that idea already.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
No, I know what you mean. I know quite a few people.
Say you got a restaurant, you find, say, 10 food bloggers, put them together as like one package, and you sell it as a service to the restaurant.
I think it makes sense if they are... The way I see influencers is not every influencer is fit for every brand.
Yeah.
So if I said to, say, one fashion brand, I've got 10 influencers here, they're going to do this for you. 3 out of them 10 might have nothing to do with that style brand, or might look absolutely horrific in some of their outfits. Or it might be that I've got 10 food bloggers that don't like spicy food. Yeah. They're going to come in, not going to eat anything. So I think it's really difficult to say, right, I've got these 10 people, work with them. So anyone that comes to us for influencers, we tailor it from the get-go, because there's no one size fits all approach when it comes to influencers. So it's one of them. It's quite a difficult subject.
It's quite tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know that was going viral earlier on this year. People were trying to sell courses on it. But when you look into things, it starts to not make sense.
To me, it doesn't make sense, because I know that it doesn't work. I think because I've had so many influencers that I've worked with Gym Law as well. Yeah. I spent a fortune on influencers. I know what works. I know what doesn't. So it's not a case of just working with everyone.
Because that's how Gymshark blew up, didn't it? Yeah. I think they started with, they were like one of the first to use influencers to blow up their brand. Influencers
weren't a thing back then, though. Like, they didn't accept payments. I remember they were able to fly people in for free as well. Like, they killed the game. Like, they worked so hard, but they also had that thing of good timing as well. Yeah. There was not that competition. There wasn't gym brands popping up every single day, whereas that is there now.
Yeah. Imagine you started 10 years before.
I'd have been.
Or 5 years.
No, don't, because I'll cry.
Yeah. It's mad. So I had a guest on before, and he was talking about creating like an AI agency. Yeah. Where there's so many services that AI is, with even more services each month. Yeah. You could offer that as a package to companies.
Yeah.
Is that something you think is a good idea? Is something you would do as part of your service?
As in, like, all them AI services would basically do the work?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good idea. It's something that we'd look into. I'd say it's not something right now that I would look into, because I just haven't got the time for it. It might be in the ideas bank, but at this point, I'd say yes, definitely. Because honestly, AI, companies don't know how to use it, and they're overwhelmed with the ever-changing social media. You're then introducing this robot that talks at you and knows more than you do, and you're like, how does it even know this about me? Yeah. I think it's just very overwhelming for companies. So I think if you can do it, offer the service, it takes that away from them, and they're like, yeah, brilliant, let's do it.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how companies are so slow to react to things. Like,
companies have been around for years as well. They don't automate anything. And I think, how are you still going? But they are, because they've built a personal brand that people buy into the people in them companies, which is why they're still here.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, ChatGPT could just literally take someone's job like tomorrow.
It could, but if that person knows how to incorporate ChatGPT into their role, then I think some jobs can stay safe.
So how are you using it in your agency at the moment?
So we use it for social media management, so we can use it for like copywriting and captions. So it's really good for developing a good caption, but we would never just use that caption. It then needs to be adjusted in terms of like that. You just have to adjust them to make sure they're more like human, because sometimes it does come across quite robotic. Yeah. There's only so many times you can read, let's embark on this journey together, before it becomes a bit silly. Yeah. But I use it for proposals as well. So when it comes to writing something that's really bespoke, I'll put together all my ideas, where I'll say, right, for this client, I want to achieve this. This is my strategy. Please write this into a proposal for me. Yeah. And then that way I can get it to the client quicker. They've got my brain, but it's all then written out into a timeline. Yeah. I either send it over by an email, or I'll stick it into a document where it looks really pretty and nice.
Yeah.
But it just shows the client then that it's written well. I could be really busy where I've got 10 calls today. I've got 3 people that need proposals. I can either put my ideas down and get AI to do it, or that client has to wait until tomorrow. I'd rather the client get it today. Yeah,
literally. And it just learns more about you and your business as you go.
Yeah. The more you speak to it, the better. You've got to speak to it like it's a dummy, and it will give you everything back. Literally everything.
All right. Last question. If you took us on as a client, what agency would you start? How would you monetize? Or even for your podcast, for example, how would you monetize a podcast?
How would I monetize a podcast?
Yeah.
I would actually use a podcast as kind of like a personal brand. Mm-hmm. So how many people are on your team?
3.
3. So the 3 of you, I would basically take you and say, right, okay, we're going to build a personal brand for the 3 of you, and we're going to start utilizing you on your platform at all times. You'd probably have a story highlight for each person as well, because you need to, the way I see it is, when you have a social media account, your top 3 pinned posts need to be who you are, what you do, why people should follow you, and then a post that resonates with your ideal audience as well. So that's obviously going to keep people there. You then renew that every 4 weeks. Every 4 weeks, you're speaking to new people, and also the older followers can then obviously see some new content. But them 3 posts would then be the 3 of you, because people are going to buy into you guys more than they're going to buy into the company itself. Yeah. Because when you see a business page, they perform so much slower than personal.
Oh, big time.
Big time, because no one can relate to anyone. There's too much going on. It's overwhelming. Like, if I can't come onto your page today and go, this is what they do, this is their intention, then how am I meant to know what your plan is?
So true. That's true.
Yeah.
So the initial plan for this, I feel like this is a free session, the last one. The initial plan for this was to have like 6 or 7 different hosts for the podcast.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's better to have less that people can connect with.
I would say you want people to connect. So even if it means that you then have separate Instagrams, so it might be you.venture, the venture rooms.
Yeah.
The venture rooms.
Yeah.
And that way you can then grow your individual personal brands as well, and then collaborate that with the main account.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
so you're growing the business, but you're also growing your personal brand, which means there's going to be separate opportunities for I'm going business now, not social media. There's separate opportunities for you all, because then you'll all get invited to different things as well. You're treated as individuals with a main company. And if you ask me, you've also got an exit plan with that as well as you grow the company.
Wow, that's good. Hired. We're going to take you on.
I'm on, guys.
That was amazing. Anything else you wanted to drop today, or?
Do you know what? I just want to say thank you for obviously having me here. Like, obviously you're killing it right now.
Oh, thank you, man.
It's nice. It's hard to find good people, and it's hard to find people that are just putting their head into the game with something they want to kill it with. So I'm proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself.
Oh, thank you. Proud of you. You're smashing it as well. I don't know how you're running like 3 or 4 different businesses
After
at
that
once.
Tube journey, I nearly wasn't. Okay. I wasn't running anything.
No, I appreciate you coming down. I know it's muggy summer in London or in Britain.
It's quite nice at the moment.
Is it? It was raining earlier.
Do you know what? Give it a break, that tube. It's ruined. It's ruined.
Thank you for coming on. It's appreciated. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. That was a sick one. Loads of gems if you're looking to start an agency. It sounds like a really good opportunity, and SMMA is not dead. So definitely reach out to Abigail. We'll have all our links in the description below. Thank you for watching the episode. Make sure you follow us on the YouTube, TikTok, and IG at The Venture Room, and we'll see you on the next one.